gorgeous faces. It's so nice to see you all here. Everyone, I have Anne Flosnik here for the call, and I'm really, really excited about this because Anne actually reached out to me after an APA social. And you know how those socials can get. We're all very, very social, but once we get on it, we all find that we're less social than we thought we were. Like we end up spending a lot of time. I don't know about you guys, but I suspect we're all the same. Did I talk too much? Didn't I say anything? I should have said something. No, I talked too much, right? So when somebody reaches out and they're confident and they're nice and they're just friendly and they're like, I met you on the APA, let's be friends. And you realize that's what it's meant to be for. And I thought, well, she's really, really friendly. And to be honest, because she was so friendly, I just thought, well, that's nice. You know, you look up the person. We were going to have a Zoom call. And I thought she's done a lot of really great books. That's wonderful. We get on this Zoom call to chat. And I go, so how many books have you done, Anne? And I think she just said, oh, something like 600 or something. And I've got to tell you, my mouth literally fell to the ground because when you do audiobooks, you get to a certain point, and I told you this on the call, where you feel like, where am I? Where am I going? Do I have enough? I've got my colleagues that are doing like 200 calls in 3 weeks. And then there are, you know, the newbies that have 200 books in 3 weeks. The newbies have one or two books, and you don't know where you fall. And so you start to introduce yourself to everyone. Relatives, uncles, aunts. Hi, how are you? Haven't seen you in years. I have 150 books. I have 150 books. It's on your email. It's on your calendar. And the fact that you didn't lead with that and weren't terribly impressed with that and getting to talk to you, you are one of the kind of what I consider in the audiobook world, a unicorn, because you hear about narrators like you that just quietly get on with the job and successfully get on with the job, because we're all, I think social media is really important, and I mean, I wouldn't be doing these calls if I didn't, but I know a lot of us would love to just be able to get in the booth and just narrate all the time and just people give us jobs and let us do the best job we can, and you are succeeding at it, and you're doing it in a very graceful, not obnoxious, but you're not humble. You're just straightforward. I'm Anne. This is what I've done. 600 books. Probably by now it's like 900 at the rate you seem to be going. But so what I'd like to hear is how you got from starting. I'm going to throw you in at the deep end. From starting, and did you ever have that struggling part where you felt that you had to prove how much you did, to getting to be the secure narrator that you are, that, I mean, as secure as a freelancer can be, that has that kind of a portfolio and doesn't feel the need to start every conversation with, I'm Anne Flosnik, 600 books. I'd love to find out. How did you start, first of all? You told me a little. I'd love you to tell the audience.
Absolutely. Well, my parents were Irish immigrants. My father was a doctor, my mother a nurse, and that was the last thing I wanted to do. But I really wanted to act all my life, and I never did. And I thought, do the safe thing. So I trained as a registered nurse in Ireland in the hospital my mother had trained in at 17 years of age, 3-year course. And it was independence, but you were kind of, somebody came to check that you were in your bed at 10 o'clock at night, this kind of thing, you know what I mean? So I was away from home, but I was very sheltered.
Okay.
Except really not, because I mean, we laid out dead people, we did all kinds of things. So
talk about work ethic, huh? I bet, is that where you first learned your work ethic?
I learned that from my dad, I think. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the way that we worked was, you worked 6 days a week, and I think you had 1 month a year that was called block, that was the studying thing. So yes, so I got that, and then I thought, well, you know, that's great, but it can be very hard, physically hard, general nursing. So I thought, well, I'm kind of in this, so let's go a bit further. And I became a midwife. So I came back to England to do that in the hospital I was born in. And while I was doing that, I thought, well, that's great. Now I'm kind of covered for life. It doesn't matter what happens. I'll always have a job. And then I thought, now it's something fun. So I became a stewardess for a while. I flew on a temporary thing. And I came to America for the first time, and it was everything just the way that the TV programs were, you know, that I'd grown up on. I thought, this is fabulous. So that only lasted, it was for 6 months, but it lasted for 8. And then the thing was, they evaluated you every flight. And I was asked back, but then I think within the week, I wasn't my own good luck charm. The company was defunct. It was Virgin Airways, which it's prehistoric. Yeah, but it's Richard Branson, so everything comes around full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the news now in space.
Did you not want to be a stewardess for maybe another company at that point?
I kind of did and I didn't, because that was a very hard job as well. And a little bit of it was enough. I had a taste of it. It's very lonely when you're single, and every time that you turn up to work, it's with a strange group of people, and you know, you're staying in hotels and socializing, and it's just very, very, very hard. Okay. So I'd had enough. That was that tick that box. Somewhere along the line, I think I'd written to the BBC. And I got some kind of, you know, form letter back, you know, not nice try, love, but you know, thanks but no thanks. Well, wait.
Let me stop you. How old were you at this point when you'd written to the BBC?
Probably starting into the midwifery years, so 21-ish.
And was this a plan? Was this like you know, the business, I'm going to get this, or was this just like, maybe I'll go there kind of thing?
Yeah, nothing comes of nothing. So and particularly when it's not a face-to-face thing, so I had no problem sending letters. So I did, you know, and that didn't work out. So then what happened? I went back to nursing at some point anyway. And anyway, so to bring it up to how do I get into acting? So I had my 2 children, and I'm thinking, this is my life. And I'm listening to Anthony Robbins' The Giant Within. And that really fired me up. And I thought, you know, I've got to do something. There's something inside me. And I also read Barbara Shear's book. And
Wishcraft? Was it Wishcraft?
That's right. Yeah, and thinking about what you want to do when you were a child. And I'd always wanted to sing or act or, you know, be on a stage somewhere. So, and I'm in America, and everywhere I go, people say, oh, you know, we love your accent, kind of a thing. And it just worked on me. And then this was the 90s. I mentioned this was the 90s, and it was the time of home-based businesses.
We're all everything in my life. Yep. We all think the 90s was last week.
I know. Everything good in my life has started with a library book. I have a little girl because I got a library book. You know, I had a boy, so I had to make a girl. So I did. I got a library book, and I worked that out. And in library books, there was a thing about home-based businesses, and I looked through that, and I thought, well, what can I do at home to make a start? Because it had to be something on the side, because we've got to pay the mortgage. And I'm working nights, and my husband's working nights. We're working 12-hour night shifts. We've got these 2 children.
What were you doing nights for work?
Nursing.
I was a
maternity
nurse.
Back. Yeah, okay. Maternity nurse here in America. And I have a two-year-old and a newborn. So this is my life now. Right. I've got to make a change. So the home-based thing, and then I see in it, there was a European skincare and cosmetic company. And I remember when I was back at school, and the career lady came for one day, and she said, what do you want to be? And I thought I wanted to be, I don't know what it was called then. Was it beauty culture or something very fancy? I wanted to put, you know, paint people and make them pretty and make the world, you know, a happy place. That was what I wanted it to be. So when I saw this skincare company, and I'm in America, and it was European, I thought, this is a good fit. So I did that, and I forget how long I did it for, and I rose a little way in the thing, because it was multi-level marketing, I know, but I owe everything I know about sales or anything to do with business is really down to whatever time it was that I spent doing that. The other thing was, it got me, I was a very nervous driver, so that got me following directions and going to somebody's house and standing up. I was cripplingly shy. So I would stand up then, you know, and we'd talk about skincare, and then I would kind of individually paint the ladies' faces and things and do their hair or whatever. And it was a huge leap out of my comfort zone, but I so wanted to make people look pretty and so forth, that the desire to do that was much bigger than being afraid of it. So I did. And then I got that I could drive places. That was a big help.
And you were brave, because if you think about it, if you weren't brave, the other route you could have taken with your skills is you could have become one of those people that makes up the dead people so they look okay in the funerals. You'd still be making people pretty, and it would be way more secure. You'd definitely have a job for life. But instead, you followed the hard, scary course.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? And we laugh, but a lot of people would have taken the dead people.
Well, not us, though. Not we audiobook people. No. We are all very brave. I think to a man and a woman, we can all stand in the truth of that. We are all very brave. Yeah. So that was the start of it. And through that, then I thought, well, because anything I do try to go 100%, whether it's maybe now I don't do a whole lot of social media or whatever, but I'm putting my heart and soul into everything I do. So I joined a networking group, and it turned out that was run by an English lady. And because it was clear to me, I had to get beyond my family sphere and, into the wider world if I was going to make a success of this makeup thing. So then anyway, the networking group, and in the networking group, I met a hypnotist, and the hypnotist did a program, some psychic hotline thing on a local access network TV program. And she invited me down as a guest. So I went, but I had to audition, and it must be the weirdest audition there ever was, because there was a little bit of an audience. And when I said whatever I had, it was, I think I was pretending I was a gym club owner or something, or interviewing a gym club owner, because I was going to be a host on this thing called Eye on Beauty, traveling around to various salons and, what's your treatment and how's that going to help?
Where does the hypnotism come into that?
Well, no, she was on this television program, and then she knew other people, and there was a lady on there, Natalie Hewitt, who was
got you onto the show.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Got it.
Thank you. You're following along.
Got it. I do like the hypnotist angle, though.
Well, yes, yeah, no, she was great too, and I did go to her because she helped me, because I was just so shy. So anyway, so that got me. Now then I'm down there, and I go for the show, and I pass this audition, and I get on, and I go along with that for a year or so. Now there was a steady stream of actors that came onto the show, and that made me think, oh my goodness, this is people that know how to do what I want to do right under my nose. So I'm going to, just ask them, well, how do you do this? And you had to have, headshot and a resume and all of that on paper, physical thing. And they told me, and they said, join the Actors Center. So I did. And that was like 1,000,000 miles away in Arlington. But I went and I joined up, and they had a weekly hotline thing. So you called in every week, and there were auditions. And there was also things like there was a call for audiobook narrators at the Library of Congress. And that was back in 1995. And in the meantime, they had people could advertise their services. I hooked up with a very good voiceover teacher, because I thought to myself, well, I was even older then going in, and I thought, the only thing I have is my accent, and they're 10 a penny in DC, but you've got to kind of lead with your strengths, if you know what I mean. So I thought, I'm going to go with my voice. It's too late for some kind of a film career or whatever, so let's put my money into that. And plus, this was such a luxury, because my poor husband, he's down in the ditches, 12-hour night shift, and I'm doing 12-hour night shifts, and we've got these two little ones, and I'm trying to find another career and another life, another way to be. And he put up with all of that. We managed. We never had babysitters unless a very odd day here or there. We managed it backwards and forwards. It was just, they were hard years, and I got sick.
I love that. I love the fight, but you held on to, that's what all the best movies are made of, though. When the hard times come, when that part of life comes where you're just like, I can't do this, and I can barely get out of bed, and what's the point? You didn't let go. I love that. And your husband, that's where all the best romances come from. Yes. Your husband backed you. Oh, that's not an easy thing to do on either side.
No. And I always said, if I ever had some big award or something, he's the first to be congratulated. And Metro, W. Marta, our Washington, D.C. Metro Center, that situation, Metro travel,
Yeah.
Because I had to go. Well, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I got in touch with them, and with my voice teacher, I filled in the requirements, which were make a cassette tape, and it had a non-fiction thing and a fiction thing that had men in it. And he helped me pick my things, and we recorded those with him and sent it in. And that must have been probably in June or so of 95. And then in July, I got a phone call from them, from the scheduling lady, and she said they'd liked my audition. Would I go into the studios in Bethesda to do the same audition in front of the national recruiter? And, you know, then that would get sent into the Library of Congress for approval or otherwise. So I said, absolutely. So down I went, and I don't think I honestly have ever been so terrified in my life, because this was alive. You couldn't just send the thing in. There was the national recruiter was there, and he could see me and I could see him.
And it mattered to you.
It mattered.
Everything you've done to get there.
Yes. So I just acted the part. I pretended that I'd been reading books aloud all my life, kind of thing. And when I put in, I had these blue contact lenses. Vanity will be the death of me. I had these blue contact lenses that I put in. I could hardly see. I mean, all these stupid things that I do, but that's me. In for a penny, in for a pound. So I did the audition, and then I thought, however this turns out, this was a personal lifetime achievement for me. And if nothing more comes from it than that, I know I did good. I got here on the metro. I got home in one piece. I did what I set out to. Mission accomplished. So it was just as well I didn't go home and slit my wrists, because I didn't hear until February of the following year.
Wait, when was this? This was what month? How long?
So July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. It was a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I mean, had they told you that they'd be getting back to you, or was it just like that's normal and they always take that long?
I suppose I was left in my mind with the possibility that somebody could always call sometime. You know, I didn't try to dwell on it, Daniela. I just let it go for that point, because that was a big step, and then it's on to the next thing. What are you going to do next, kind of a thing? So, but anyway, the phone call came, and then the next big thing was, so they wanted me to go down, and now my schedule is going to start. And I started off with one day. Now, to get there, it was 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I lived 2 hours away, because there was no way I was going to drive it on the Beltway. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't have driven to Heaven's Gates on the Beltway. So I was doing the metro. So it was an hour's drive to get to the metro station, and then 2 different tube changes, and about a 10-minute walk. So I got there. But the first day, there was a blizzard. It was the blizzard of whatever year that was. It was a huge blizzard. And I'm there because I'd been nearly up with my matchsticks in my eyes. But I wasn't going to miss getting there.
You didn't wear the contacts that day, did you?
No. I threw those away.
Good.
Yeah, that was a good move. So I got there, and there was only me and the recruiter guy. That was it. Everybody else had stayed home, from Maryland and all they were just him and me. And so I started off, they'd given me a book that was a simple, nice, light, chick-lit type of, I don't think there was chick-lit then, but nice, light literature thing. But it had, the dinner party scene, or 10 friends and the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I got maybe a quarter of the way through the book, because my training really was just to read the thing, and you had a monitor who was listening, and he would catch you if you said something wrong, keep you on track. Right. And then they told me that somebody would listen to it word for word at the end of it and give me corrections, and the corrections didn't get paid. So, you've been warned. Anyway, so the first book did not work out. And the fellow that was in charge said, and this isn't going to work out. You're not quite there yet, but we see great potential in you. Yeah, because it came in a blizzard. See, that's it. You just got to show up. And I don't think I'd have a job if it wasn't. There's a couple of things. That's pivotal, is the blizzard. Max Bloomquist is going to be the next pivot. And that's the next thing. But anyway.
But wait, before we go there, we have a question. And I hope you don't mind. I don't want to derail you, but I think this is the perfect time to address this, because when we move on, we're going to be kind of past that point. Fiona was wondering, during it's relevant to where you are now. During the moments of hardship where you felt you were just hanging on by your fingernails to all your dreams, what thoughts, motivation did you have to keep you pushing forward? Like, what inner script do you follow? I mean, you obviously read the motivational books and what do you tell yourself? Because I love the way you said after that first audition that I do that with auditions. I don't think I would have done that in that instance, where you were just like, well, I did the best I could and that's it, it's done, it's over. What other ways do you talk to yourself to get yourself to this point? Because it's obvious something about the way your self-talk is. I wouldn't have gone in the blizzard, and I think I'm a workaholic, but there's a drop of snow outside and I don't leave the house. So
Daniela, if a publisher came to you and said, we have a book for you and we need you to get from A to B, you would do it. Now, you'd walk in the snow. You just would. You know you would. Yeah. So what do I say?
What do you tell yourself? How do you talk to yourself to get yourself this strength that you obviously have?
That's a good one. I don't know, and I do it all the time.
Do you think it came from your father?
Probably. Like, think very deeply about it, and sometimes it's good if negative things come along, because this may not, whatever path I was on, I mean, like staying with the makeup, maybe it wasn't the best idea at that time. You've got to know what dreams are worth holding on to and what dreams are just dreams or somebody else's dream, or it was a dream you thought was you at one point. So I'm all about watching the signs along the way. But my heart was strong in this, and I thought, there has to be something there, or I wouldn't have passed the test. Because I think I'd heard other actors, maybe at the Actors Centre, saying that they'd done it and maybe they didn't get it or something. I just knew that the universe had validated me on this course of being an audiobook narrator. And I wasn't going to give up at the first jump. The first hurdle, I wasn't going to fall down. I was going to keep on going within reason. And so that wouldn't have been reasonable to get off the horse right then.
I love
this
that.
was too early in the game.
And you weren't discouraged when the first one didn't work out. So we're meeting back where we were before.
Right.
So
they didn't work out, but in the same breath, he said, you'll kind of learn if we give you a non-fiction book. You'll kind of get your feet under you. So it was taken away with one hand and then helping me. He was helping me. He did me a favor.
Because he admired you, because you showed guts and gusto. You showed up. You were a professional. He admired you. People help people that help themselves.
That's right. He admired my work ethic.
Yeah.
And I was just so thrilled to be there. That's a good thing, to be around people that are really loving what they're doing.
Yeah.
That helps everybody. It lifts up the whole thing. Anyway, so but the book they gave me to teach me was Jacques Pepin, Simple and Healthy Cookery. And remember what they said about the corrections, and is it jalapeno or jalapeno? I don't know to this day, but there were all of these vegetables I'd never heard of. And I thought, you're joking. Nobody's really going to listen to this word.
Terminology.
Yes. So I did the best I could, but I kind of had half a mind that they really weren't going to listen to this 100%. So, it might be all right to fudge here or there. But anyway, at the end of that, I had 60 pages of corrections, and but that's not bad. What it was like, say that there were 30 lines on a page, and mine would be like jalapeno, page 1, 10 times. So that's 10 corrections right there. I mean, it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of corrections. So I learned a very valuable lesson from that. Take people at their word. If they tell you they're going to, here are the sources. Oh, and they taught me so many things that I use to this day. Here are the source books that we used, because there was no internet, but still everything isn't in the internet. And so looking at these certain books is very, very helpful.
But when you were recording, you're in the studio. Is the engineer not helping you, saying, oh, you got this word wrong, or they're not guiding you throughout?
Well, they are as best as they can, but it moves fast when you're talking, and with a lot of vegetables and things, it's very hard for them to do what they're doing and keep track of my list of things that I'm supposed to be in charge of, because that's all I have to be in charge of is the words,
Right.
Yeah, and plus it was the first time, and almost the pronunciations were the least of it. It was the fact of sitting there with some young man kind of thing. It was usually a young man, this was a live performance. It was just a huge thing. So I had a lot of things to just kind of take in and get comfortable with and move on.
Yeah, and also the amount of time you're narrating, because that's, I remember, because I did the same thing, kind of maybe let them think that I was very experienced. Rocked up at the studio for my first, I think it was an 8-hour book in 2 days. And I rocked up, so the realization, the minute it hits you, how not easy it is to record that much in one day. That alone.
Well, strangely enough, that did not bother me.
Really?
No, I must have a very strong throat, but I'll tell you what did bother me. Kind of leading up to that time, I was getting my voice lessons and I was bone tired. And it was a tiredness that was beyond the fact that to turn up for this job, I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had the 2 little ones and all the way. But there was something strange about this tiredness. Anyway, long story short, it turned out that I had hypothyroidism. So that was diagnosed right here at the beginning of it. And it was like a new lease of life once I got those thyroid pills, and whatever. So that really was a big thing. But it slowed me down a lot before I got that diagnosis. But I didn't let any of that show. No. And really, I had the stamina to keep going, because what alternatives did I have? This was my huge chance to do something that I loved. When was I going to get a chance like that again? So
your why was so strong that it overrode everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there was the why and there was the how, and I was doing the how, so just had to keep on going.
This is the stuff of epic Russian novels. This is. It is, though. It is, because we all pay lip service to the why, but to hear the story and to hear, I think to hear your thinking behind your actions in the story. I mean, this is the strong lead female protagonist in all the books we do. Do you know what I mean? She's here live, guys. So, okay, so no knockbacks. You did your second book. It was equally hard. That didn't put you off, though, the second book, right? With all the pickups and everything. Were you like, I love this, I'm going to do it forever?
Yes, pretty much, and we couldn't, there was always a hierarchy in audiobooks. There always was. And so you knew who the people were, and I would think, oh, if I could be Simon Vance or Davina Porter, all these people, and I would listen on my long journeys to work. I'd listen to them on the cassette things from the library, and so beyond that, then library again. Here we are, books. How was I going to get this? Now, fairly soon, I got some basic understanding of the mechanics of it. I could do it, so I wanted to get it to the wider world. With no intention of letting this job go. This was my day job, but I wanted to get into the wider world. So I went to the library and I just took the cassette tapes off the shelf and looked who's the publisher, and wrote the addresses down, big list. And then I started sending brown envelopes with a headshot, the resume, and I got some kind of demos put together that my voice teacher helped me with. And we just used pretty much the audition I had used for the Library of Congress. I think that's how I started. Oh, and I might even been foolish enough a couple of times until I was put straight. I might even have sent a voiceover thing. Oh, no, we don't do voiceover. Right. Well, I didn't know. So,
but it's so inspiring. You read the books and you tried to put into action the things you read in the Tony Robbins, Barbara Sher books. You just did it.
I did. And went to the library and got the list of publishers, because I had no way to find out who the publishers were, so that was what I did. And then I started writing. And also, I have to say, at the Library of Congress, there was also a commercial division, and there were some English people that were there as well, and French person and Spanish people. There was quite a multi-ethnic group, and lots of different auditions. Well, not lots, but there were a few auditions came in and so forth. Anyway, I got my first really proper commercial audiobook, and it was for listening library. So just like that, The Wheel on the School, this beautiful tale of hope that I was living. The Wheel on the School. Oh my God.
And how much time had passed between you getting that book and that day in the snow?
Well, let's see. So 96 I started, and the book came out in 2000, I think. So 4 years maybe.
4 years, and then 9 months between after the first audition. And you definitely didn't do it the easy way. You're going to libraries, writing things down in hand. I had to fill out a contract in handwriting today. I think I've forgotten how to actually write. So those, I mean, because everything is so, we don't realize how easy we have it now. We complain,
Yes.
oh gosh, I have to go on social media, but I'm sorry, really, you did it the hard way. I mean, seriously. Well, I mean, they say going to studio's easy. The people that started when it was easy, they just rocked up. But that's not easy.
No.
All the steps you had to take.
That's right. That's right. But I never picked up a phone or anything. And we'll come to a point where there was a job fair. I think that was in 2000. I'll get to that. But before that, now, this is a big thing. This Wheel on the School won, I don't think the award exists. It might be an Odyssey Award now. It was called an American Library Special Services to Children Award. So I got an award with that book. And then I thought, well, this is so easy. Sign me up. Here I am.
I love that. Did you, at the time, did you celebrate?
No, because I didn't even know. I didn't have a computer, and it was just some person at work. It's always networking. Somebody at work said to me, hey, Anne, do you know that you won an ALA award? I said, what's that? So, yes. So then now you can look it up. It's still on the internet, but yeah, but the book's gone. So that's one that's gone. Okay. Right off the bat, it's gone because it's way past 7 years. So
that was the other thing you taught me that I'd never even thought of. You'd think I would have clocked that. The whole, I've got 150 books. And Anne goes, yeah, but they just all disappear after 7 years. How do you know how many books you have? You can't prove it. I was like, the thought never occurred to me that your books aren't like your books forever. And then soon after that, Audible had a glitch where like they were losing 200 books or something, 200, 300 books some people lost off their portfolio just for a week or so. But you can't make what's important that number.
No, but we all do look at it, we do. I mean, because there are only so many yardsticks of success, and that's kind of one of them.
Yeah, I don't lie. If I ever get 600 books, I'm so good. My name's Daniela Acitelli, 600 books.
No. Because you have so many more things to say as well. I mean, look at all the wonderful talents that you have and can use. And your interviewing skills. I mean, you're very, very special.
I think we all, thank you, but I think we get our like you said, your goalpost, your thing you want to be able to like, and when you get it, you're proud of it. And I'm thinking a lot about that because I think a lot of the journey, do you not find? It's like you said, you didn't even know the award was out there. You didn't know to celebrate. And I see some narrators, buy themselves a cake when they've got such and such amount of books. And at first, I won't lie, I was like, oh my God, but I think they've got something.
Yes, I do too.
I shouldn't make fun because, I mean, I'm not like a celebration person, but I'm thinking I should have been.
And I'm thinking I should have been too. I should have made more for the path for joy instead of the path of the hard grind. I'm always on the path of the hard grind. Keep my head down. Yes. Just keep, asking for the next job kind of a thing. Do the job, try and get the next job. Yes. That would be one of my keys to give to somebody else is take the path of joy while you're on the same path, exact same path with a joyous step instead of just the way I was. Blinkers, head down.
And could you imagine? You can get yourself a cake with 600 candles. Okay, so but you're still on the path. You've got the first book, an award. Yeah. Are you now kind of like, I'm an audiobook narrator? I mean, are you like, I'm really proud I'm doing this? Or are you still, I've got to work at this, I've got to get something.
Well, I've had nothing. I mean, that's nothing. How are you going to build a career on that? I mean, it's a good sign. These were good signs. I'm encouraged, but no, and I'm very fearful and all the rest of it. But I hadn't thought of anything else to do because I was so enjoying what I was doing. But of course, I wanted to be successful at it. I was nowhere in sight of that. My little bit of money that I made from the Library of Congress kind of thing, it kind of kept me afloat rather than doing, I mean, my husband was doing the heavy lifting with making the salary. But he was happy that I was doing something and I was getting paid for it. But it wasn't any huge amounts of money. Or
did you have a goalpost of what was successful in your mind that you were aiming for, or was it a never reaching thing that kept changing?
It does keep changing, but I definitely wanted to get to work with a publisher, keep on going. So, this was one. Listening library was a big thing. How was I going to get with other publishers? So then, next step, year 2000, I think there was a thing called the New York Job Fair, and it was the last one. I think there'd been more of them, but anyway, it was the first and last one for me. And it was like speed dating. In real life, you went and I don't know that you knew who the publishers were going to be. And the thing of it was divided into two groups. So there was a morning group, you saw, whichever publishers, and the afternoon group saw another group of publishers.
Was it audiobook specific?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, these were the big guys. And, yes, I was going to tell you about Max Bloomquist, but I had actually worked at Brilliance by that point.
Okay.
Because I remember seeing him in an elevator in a hotel, going to it or coming from or something. So I had worked with him. Yeah. So around about 2000 as well. 2000 was a pivotal year. I was probably the new English person on the block, and Catherine Coulter, who I'm just going to be doing a book of hers again soon.
Wow.
So that has gone on for a long time. I had a book of hers. He cast me for that, and this was huge. So I had to go out to Michigan, because you always did. You had to go out. And I think even today, usually if you are new to them, you still go out and you stay, and, every day you work on the book. So he picked me up at the state. No, the first time he didn't. First time it was a taxi came to meet me. That was the first time. But every time pretty much after that, he came to meet me. And it was such a wonderful family, lovely situation. And they were my family. And Michigan became my home, because sometimes I'll be there for 3 weeks at a time, several times in over the course of a year. So Max is huge in my book. So I saw him there. But anyway, unfortunately, luck was not on my side in a kind of a way that day, because I was in the morning group. And by the time we got to the lunchtime people I was to see, many of them had had enough and they weren't there. So it was a very, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I don't think I got any jobs out of that. But here's another thing I'd like to say to people is, just because you don't get a result in the instant, even in the year, doesn't mean that you're never going to get a result. And that's something that I do live by and hold on to with both hands. That it's like anything that grows. Things are going on behind the scenes, under the ground, out of sight, out of your sight, but it doesn't mean that they're not happening.
Because patience is key, isn't it? Look at the patience you had, like years, and things came to bloom, didn't they?
Yes, but they wouldn't have done if I had got off the horse. So here's what I would say to you, Daniela, is your job is not to be thinking in the minds of the publishers or anybody else that has anything to do with your career. That's not your job. Your job is to do the best job that you can and get the next job, and do the best job with the job you've already got, but not be wasting 1 minute of valuable mental space thinking about what somebody else's motivations are or are not. Don't just delete the audio. Don't delete your demo. You could put that maybe on your next demo that you're sending to, you're writing to a publisher. Here's, an example of crime fiction thriller thing. I
keep those. I just take it off there. I take myself out of the running. But I think it's just,
don't throw away your work, because you can repurposing. Repurposing is a good thing in what we do. You never know when it might be.
Do you still do that? Like, how often do you do that kind of thing? Like repurpose your demos, update your profiles and your website and everything. How often do you do that?
Not as much as I should. And I don't know that I'm really doing it right either, because I feel I'm of a different generation, and I have had help for it, but I can't have help every day. Do you know what I mean? Right. I do things in fits and starts, I think, like most people do. But what I do try to do is, when a new book comes up, because kind of really honestly, the limit of my social media is, which is just, I feel honor bound to do, and I'm happy to do it, is to say, I just did a book for so-and-so, and here's a link to Audible. So having said that, in the pulling of the sample, I download that to my own files and then get the picture of the book, and I put it up on SoundCloud. So my SoundCloud demos, which I link onto my website, that's always current, and that's really what it's all about, to my mind.
That's lovely. That's
so
lovely.
I do that. That's something that's going on every time there's a new book. I'll have to take something off, you know, and put something new on, kind of a thing. So that's, yeah.
When did you make the move to home studio? When did you? Because you have produced a lot.
Daniela, no, this is another fatal flaw. No, that's a bad word, but this is one of my negative things. I am a late adopter. I'm a late bloomer and a late adopter. And so
that's the flip side of the patience. That's the flip side of the patience. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I'm very, very early adopter. I just forget about it the next day. So, okay, so late adopter, but you get there in the end, obviously, your tenacity.
Well, I think I lost a lot of ground at a crucial point because I was such a late adopter. So what happened was, I'm still at the Library of Congress. I was there for 13 years. And then I do have some, you know, I've got Brilliance and some other things going on.
Right.
And then when I had a book for Blackstone, and to do that book, I had to do that in a home studio, which I didn't have. So somehow I found a local engineer and I worked with him for several years. And we had at least one Audie nomination in that time with him.
In his studio.
Yes, which was fairly local to me. So that worked out well. But then, you know, he was getting busy with other things. And then this was the night of the soul. Where do I turn now? My whole world is upside down.
I've never had a guest offer me their dark night of the soul before. Normally I have to bring it up and then they turn ghostly white. I love that. Okay, so dish it out. Do tell.
I've had so many, Daniela. I have had so many. God. But this one was my back is up against the wall, because now it is, you know, there's no, would you like to do it in our studio? You know, there was no choice. You have to be able to have a home studio. And I don't even know. I did know, I will say, social media is great for following the conversations, even if you're not saying anything. I knew for me it was going to be Pro Tools, because that at the time was industry standard. Brilliance they liked Pro Tools. So that made that decision. I knew what to buy, and I knew, you know, go to George Whittam, people like that. I had the whole thing assembled in my mind. I just hadn't done it. But so now we've got the Dark Night of the Soul, and I'm going to have to pull the trigger. So things just come together. My daughter had a boyfriend at the time who built computers. So he built me a specific quiet computer, and he helped me, showed me how to, you know, install the Pro Tools thing. And then I kind of had to reach out into the wider world, but he got the whole system.
He was a keeper. You didn't let her break up with him, did you?
I think she came to her own conclusions, but that was a good.
Because I would have been like, no, he's in the family.
Yeah, he was great. He was really great. So that was the beginnings. Oh, and as well as that, I got with Tantor very early on, probably about 96, 97, 98, 97, I'm going to say. And that I'd been writing to them for 6 years, Daniela. I'm quite clear about that. It was 6 years. And at one point, the lady wrote back and said, you know, our stable is full, in, you know, nicer way than that, but you can send us every 6 months to a year if you like. So I thought, well, just give me permission now. I will definitely do that. And then out of the blue, they actually wrote to me and they said, we've got 2 books for you if you're interested. And we'll set you up with that they had their own proprietary software thing. And somebody, you know, will have one of our computers, pull you over the phone and set it all up. I thought, well, that might work for everybody else. It's never going to work with me because, you know, I don't know my mouse from my gerbil kind of thing.
But you know, I think this is an important conversation. I think this, because we take it for granted, because we have to know our stuff. And it's quite a shock when you start narrating. All those lovely people that think that we like just walk up with our cell phone in the park and like rattle off a book or two. It's a shock. And I know that there are a lot of people in the Cup of Joe and a lot of people possibly on Clubhouse that are at the very beginning stages.
Yes.
And I think it's important to hear somebody that has 8,000 audiobooks out, has been working for years, say this part wasn't easy for me, because you have to do it, you will do it. But for some of us, it's not going to feel easy. No. It's not. It's just, that's part of the job. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a lot of successful people didn't find it easy. You, in my eyes, you're a very successful person, and you didn't find it easy.
No, I didn't. I didn't. And there are many people, way above me, that didn't have home studios until the pandemic came along. So it's not a rare thing. And in fact, I completely admire the new people coming in, because they know all the technical things and just all the social media things that I only have kind of a hand scratch knowledge of.
Yeah.
So I really admire them, because they have just such a panoply of gifts and skills. All I thought this was ever going to be was reading a book. And that was hard enough, because I wasn't an actress, you see.
But that's what it's wonderful, though. That's what's wonderful, because it's a mix. Because, I mean, we had a call about social media the other day, and some people that are narrators, they were like on social media when they were 2. Their mothers and fathers were on social media. They're posting selfies when they were 3.5. They've already had a brand set up by the time they were 5. Some people have been doing gaming and technical things, their whole life.
Yes.
Some people have been going into the studio and they've read the books and they've written handwritten letters and they've done the networking old school. Proper relationships have been developed. And I think if we could all pull from all that expertise, do you know what I mean? We learn from each other, and that's where I think people go wrong. People thinking, oh, new people don't know what I know, or other people are stuck in their ways and they're getting it wrong. I think you miss a trick there, because together, I mean, wow, look what we could do.
Yes, and it's all about relationships. And somebody knows how to do this, and so and so. It all is that, and it's a very giving industry. Isn't that amazing? Because I thought all acting things would be very
well. But look at your experience when you said, because I had the same experience on set. I was just an extra on some film, and you have lots of time to talk to the other extras. And I asked them questions about acting in the UK.
Yes.
And the amount of help and time they put into helping me. Lists. I had lists of phone numbers and notes and people and things to do. It launched me as a human, as a human being acting as a foreigner in another country.
Yes.
Because they didn't have to do that. They could have sat and done their nails and eaten bologna sandwich. Well, we're in the UK, so no bologna, but you know what I mean? And you had that experience as well, the Actors Center, and none of us, I think, got here on our own.
By no means. No.
So you're learning the stuff you need to learn to get in the studio. This whole time, are you already kind of focusing on accents in historical fiction and everything? Or have your strengths come into play and you've got pretty good branding and everything, and you're...
No branding. No. Accents, yes. Now, I will say the Library of Congress, they really didn't like people doing accents. It was really just read the book. But I couldn't help myself, because that was something that just comes to me. I love to do it. And it was a wonderful opportunity to perform. And I had an audience of 1, So, and I was used to it by then. I mean, I'm still very shy and so forth, but I could manage 1 person. And that's all you need, So there were no coaches, or at least that I knew of. And I didn't have time anyway, because it was book after book after book. And, I'd explain my life circumstances with the little one, and my husband is really doing double duty. And I'm not unaware of that. And I'm trying not to take any more than, I need. We've got to have a marriage and not a divorce. It has to be a union.
Yeah.
So I was doing all of that. And they cast you in a way, because I pretty much got anything that wasn't American. Got a lot of history books, European history, English history, any kind of female fiction from anywhere around the world. And there might be an odd American in it, but obviously that wasn't the focus of the book. So I was doing a lot of accents, and then I just came up with my own way of accessing them, which is very simple.
I might need to book you for a session, Anne, because...
No booking. No. We'll just chat about it, and you'll have it.
But the thought, I'm going to take you off rail for just a second. The thought occurred to me. thinking about your kids growing up, watching their mom go out because she wants to make her dreams come true?
Well, it didn't run off on them, Danielle, and kind of in some ways, I think I might tamp it back a little bit now, because not just, but this is we're being real here.
Yeah.
The kind of, uncelebrated Christmases, like I'd have not a cold meal in the corner kind, but the birthdays I didn't celebrate properly, the Christmases I didn't celebrate properly, the children's events I didn't go to.
You're like me. I couldn't see the fuss about a wedding, so I didn't tell my parents, and I booked it, and I worked during the day, and then just met my husband at the local, because I didn't understand what the big deal was. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're like me. Yeah. I so focused on that.
On the one thing. Yes. Yeah. So it's a fault. It's a fault. And it's got me into trouble all my life. I mean, my father had to pull me out of boarding school, that kind of thing. There's been several times where I've had to be stopped. Yeah, there was a few relationships I've been in, and I just keep going. There was a fellow I was engaged to. He kind of put the kibosh on that, which is just as well. And he said, "You'll thank me." And I did, but, not at the time I didn't, with my big diamond ring that had a big flaw in it that you could see. I mean, if that wasn't a metaphor for it's going to be.
No, that's, oh my God, that is, yeah, I never saw the point. No, you got to just keep going forward, it's really good if you're in an emergency and everyone else is falling apart. You're the person that's going to lift them, but yeah, not so good.
Yeah, it's not the best life advice. It isn't. If I could do it all over again, but I don't know how to do that, you see. But probably there's somebody to hire now that could, I could hire them and they'd steer me. But
the thing is, I still think, and they might not thank you for it now when they're younger, but I still think that having an example of somebody with that kind of strength, when we grow up, we look back at our parents and we realize what their strengths and weaknesses are. You don't realize it when you're trying to separate yourself from them, but when you grow up, you look back and you realize, and the strength that you showed will balance out, and that is that they can't help but have that in their bones. You can't help but do it. You subconsciously pick these things up, and I really genuinely think, and I'm not just saying that because I can't be bothered to try to change anymore, but I do think that
you are changing.
And I'm changing the things that are fun to change. I think some things, I'm never going to be the girl that wants to go out and hug people and go out in big groups of people on a holiday in Marbella. I'm just not. I'm a workaholic, died to the bone. But you can change little things. I think standing firm in what you are, and that's what you did. It's what Fiona asked. It keeps going back to what Fiona brought up in her question. You held on to the core of who you were. And no, it might not have been great for those around you. And the diamond ring sucks with missing out on that. But the core of who you were has served you well. You've got the portfolio to show for it, regardless of what falls off Audible. You can deliver the goods. You're not going to be unemployed, because you're a workhorse, and you've got the talent and the determination, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Thank you, Daniela. But it's only, I would say, within the last few years, I have come to count on what I'm doing. It's taken many years to get to this point. And even now.
Why? Why do you think it takes so long? I'm not just asking for you, not to put you in the spot, but why does it take so long for us to feel that we've succeeded, do you think?
It may be different for everybody. And what I say now may not be the truth, even that I don't know for me. But I think it goes down to, just me. It's just acting has always been a way, right back to school. I was bullied and teased and all those kinds of things, but I could make people laugh. People would laugh at me. That's probably a thing I should have developed. I'm not good at telling jokes, but there's something about it. The way that I would walk across the room is funny. You just look at me and I'm that comedian. There's just that I know there's that, and I haven't developed it. And it's the most natural thing in the world to me to be funny without meaning to be. Don't give me any words to say or expect me to say anything that's, Einsteinish. I'm not that girl. But it's just the way I say things is unfortunately klutzy, and it's funny. And I was good at impersonating people, which goes in with the accents. It's an ear. A lot of people are born with that. And there was a television show, Mike Yarwood, and Dick Emery, all these wonderful English shows, classics at the time. And Mike Yarwood would do these sketches every week. And I would come in and do Harold Wilson or this will not affect the pound in your pocket, whatever it was, but this will not affect the pound in your pocket. I can't, all these different things. And, what a silly Billy, whatever it was. I all the catch things, shut that door, all those things. I had them all, and I would have people in stitches with whatever the thing was on a weekly basis, in between the bullying and so I always had that. So once I got the chance so back to your question, we want to please people, we want to perform, and that kind of trumps everything else. And how else was I going to get that opportunity in such a sustained way? Because there's all kinds of wonderful actors, but how many of them work every day of the week, the way that we do?
We're so lucky as narrators, so lucky, because actors, half of them literally don't know when they're going to get their next day work.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
We're so lucky. I kind of want to edit that part out of the tape because they're all getting their own home studios now. And not that I don't love them so much, but
will they stay the course, Daniela? That is the question.
Well, a lot of people don't like it. And I was afraid, actually afraid because of my short attention span that it was going to be not me, but because Sean warned you when I had him as coach when I first started, a lot of people don't like it. I think you either love it, or I had voiceover jobs. Okay, let's just say this for the record, because I think they've figured it out by now. I started coming up with excuses not to go to the voiceover jobs. A whole day doing a voiceover job, I'd only be in the studio for an hour, and it would pay like 7 times like anything. And I would come up with excuses to do an audiobook that was paying almost nothing at the time when I first started. So yeah, the jury was never out about what my love was for audiobooks. You know what I mean? And I think any narrators on the phone pretty much know that. There's no narrator that goes, well, I kind of like it. You don't do a job like this if you kind of like it.
No, not with all these hats, you don't.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hats. It's a lot of stuff.
We never, I want to hear about your journey into learning how to do the production. I derailed you when you were talking about that. So how hard was it?
I don't remember. Well, I had to write down everything about it, and Karen Cummins was very, very helpful.
I think Karen's on the call now. Shout out to Karen, every single
shout out to Karen, all for Karen.
Yeah, I don't think Karen realizes how many calls it's been shout out to Karen.
She's the bee's knees and the spider's ankles. She absolutely is.
She helped you with the technical bits.
Well, just to fill in, because you wouldn't have a friendship very long if whatever. She helped me though. To put the icing on the cake and give me, so I knew what I was doing and it made sense to me. We could talk about it, in amongst other things. Gosh, you wouldn't have friends very long if you.
Yeah, and I think that's key. I don't think any of us. I think they get it right in this world that people are friends first. And because we're friends first, we don't mind helping each other.
Yeah, but not to be abused, not to be abused. I'd spent all the money with the gurus, and I had all the thing in place. It wasn't, does this go in that hole? And but no, she helped me through some tough nights of the soul.
I'm happy that you said that as well, because again, keeping in mind, some people join the calls and they're like, I'm on my first audiobook, and it is a rocky field to navigate. You never, ever, ever call up a Sean Pratt and say, can I buy you a cup of coffee and you help me become an audiobook narrator, right? You've got to be willing to. I contacted a coach before APAC because I knew that they would be able to get me in the right mindset. And they were like, well, you can just have a chat. I'm happy to chat. I'm like, no, I actually want to pay, because you got to respect the time. You know what I mean? You've got to respect that. You can't start to encroach on the friendships, because the friendship's more important in the end.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can Google the information.
Right. Yeah. You have a very strong ethic. You're a very honorable person, Daniela. You're a lot of fun, but you have all these very honorable traits that you live by.
I think a lot of people, I think most people joining the business do. I just think it's easy to get wrong. In the eagerness to get ahead, it's easy to not think. And you see the generosity in people sharing. And so I just think it's a good, because you want to look back years later and be friends with the person. Oh my God, I'll never forget the time you helped me with this. Not somebody that gave you information that you moved on and did, you know what I mean? Right. The friendship is the most important part. And I think it's the part they'll value the most in the end.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
and then
I'm going off on a tangent. So you're learning the technical stuff.
Right. But also back to this point that when you see people in real life, that they're not avoiding you because you think, oh, that,
yeah.
But, yeah. Back to the technical stuff.
Yes, back to the tech. And for the record, I'm not trying to give anyone a hint. I literally don't know anyone that's gotten it wrong. I mean, people I find coming in here are very eager to get it right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, okay, go ahead. Technical stuff. Karen helped you. You figured it out yourself.
George Whittam helped me. I also had, there was a guy that worked at Amy's Mosaic when it wasn't Amy's Mosaic. Name escapes me, it was Zach, I think. Zach Harris. Yeah, Zach was fabulous. He helped me on Skype. And oh Lord, if you know what I went through to get on Skype, this is really, it's make a comedy show, all the different flub ups I did. I mean, it happens to this day. I was thinking I was going to have a flub up today to, get on the Zoom thing with you. So I'm kind of sitting here with my matchsticks open all night long. So I don't miss the time, or don't get the wrong switch, or the computer's going to act up, or whatever it is.
All you have to do is log. I know I always get long messages from the guests the day before, kind of like, should I suggest a subject matter? I've got a bullet point list maybe we could work from. Are there technical things? Do you need it? I'm like, no, just show up and smile, and that's it.
I didn't bombard you with a thing because I'm
No, you didn't. You were very confident. You'd be surprised. I have so many people get so nervous beforehand because you're in the limelight. You're in the limelight. Everyone's kind of, I think YouTube feels like TV, and we all grew up kind of watching TV, and you're on a show, and people are listening to you. So it's not just the people on this call or the people on Clubhouse, it's the people in the next 60 years that might want to be audiobook narrators. So I love that.
Completely different. It will be completely different.
Yeah. So, okay, technically, I digress. Technically, how long would you say it took you to become comfortable in your own studio?
Not that long. I mean, to have the monkey see, monkey do, not to insult the monkeys. I had that pretty much in a week or two. But see, between Zach and George and, other people, Karen and so forth, that I would ask an odd question here and there. And I had a checklist. I had it all written down. Anything that
you got the help. And you also already were a narrator.
So
you weren't learning it all at once.
No. And I had nothing to unlearn. I didn't do any of the clicking thing. I didn't. I came straight in doing punch and roll. I had nothing to unlearn.
Yeah, me too.
Blank slate. So it really wasn't that hard. And this is what I found all through my life. Fear has held me back from lots of things. And honestly, there is nothing to fear. And I know this. Nothing to fear but fear itself. But it has held me back at every turn. And adopting the technology bit so late was all about fear. But once I really got going, and I'd been watching the whole scenario on Facebook and so forth, as I mentioned, I knew where to go. I just had to do it. I knew what to buy. I knew who to go to. I knew how to make this happen. My back was up against a wall. I had no options. So I did it. And then I was good within a couple of weeks, I would say. Not to say that every now and again you lean on the keyboard and, but nothing ever blew up. And the computer doesn't judge. So I really kind of took to it at a very rudimentary level. I found it was fine. And I thought, well, now this is the first time in my career, very late in my career, that I can control what's going out instead of just, here it is. Do you know what I mean?
And you get kind of proud of yourself as well, that you're in control, except I still would probably have been after your daughter to get back together with the boyfriend, because just as a backup.
He went on for quite a while at those early days.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, he went on for quite a while. He was about, because the damn computer exploded, or it ended up black hole. It went into a black hole. Yeah, so we had to build another one, which was bigger and better, or smaller and faster. I don't know, whatever it was, but yeah. So even that was multi-step.
Do you have anything in your studio that makes it feel homey, or that makes you want to go into it? I mean, do you have any little memento, or do you do anything to your studio that makes it home?
Well, seeing as I never did it for my home. I mean, we've never even painted the walls of where we are, but I do have some things. And they change around every now and again. Right now, I have my dad's stamp that he used in his, doctor's surgery thing. I have that in there. Oh gosh, I have a fairy, because I think, fairy dust is always good to have.
Oh, I love that.
I have a teddy bear that's a Scottish Highlander, because Scottish Highlanders have been very good to me in the romance world. Oh gosh, what have I got? Oh, I've got, it's a pharmacist's cornucopia in my booth, between all the sprays and medicaments and lip lubes and you name it. I have got it all. Every essential oil under the sun. I like the essential oils, for focus and whatnot. Yeah.
So it's kind of so are you quite organized? Do you go straight into the booth certain time every day, or do you have a hard time getting yourself to do it, or do you have a strict schedule, or do you just kind of like play it by ear? You're not a play it by ear girl, huh? Are you? Are you a play it by ear? Yeah, I don't think so.
Not really. No. Sorry to come off as a dry old bore, but
no, I'm not a play it by ear, and I feel like you're a bit of a kindred spirit, so I can't imagine. So go ahead, tell me what's your work kind of flow like?
Right. So there is a definite schedule to it. Well, there's a flow to it. I definitely have a morning shift, an afternoon shift, and an evening shift. I'm going at it like I was in those Library of Congress days.
Wow.
So, I'd like to say I start at 10 o'clock every morning. I don't. Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 12. Because some mornings I feel, well, I should try and get a workout or something in before I start. But that's not always. And I go backwards and forwards with vocal warm-up kind of things.
Do you know what, though? I love that, because I don't know why I asked you that question. I don't think I normally ask people that question, but I love that, because old habits die hard, and you spent so much time working in studios, so you already have the bones of a structure there that you're comfortable with, and it probably serves you 3 shifts in a day. That's brilliant.
Not every day.
How much of a break do you take between them? Like,
that can vary, because sometimes some days I do no exercise, but some days I do. Usually it'll be in that 2 to 3, 4 o'clock type of thing. Then I'll go back for a bit, and then I'll have an evening meal. I love to see David on World News tonight. I love my David. He's the last name escape. Who is it? David? Who is he? I love David. Now his name's not out of my head. Who is he? David on Channel 7.
Horrible with names.
This is the nightly news with David. What is his name? Doesn't matter.
Somebody type the answer for us. I'm in the UK, so I'm useless.
Oh,
I
sorry.
can tell you, I can say Emmerdale or EastEnders.
I know.
I don't know what.
That was even in my time. That's been going a heck of a long time, Emmerdale Farm.
Yeah.
That has an American in it. So you should be in it too, Daniela.
I used to, I was in Dead Boss with Jennifer Saunders. I was very impressed. But yeah, you can only catch like the side of my hair. I was edited out.
Oh.
But Emmerdale got a bit, well, I don't want to bore the audience, because most of the audience is from America, and they're going to be like, Emmerdale? It was like, it's a really gritty, the soap operas here run for years and years and years and years. You guys still have All My Children, don't you?
I think so, but I don't. I never watched the American soaps.
Yeah, see, when you come over here, when I'm over there, I watch all British programming. And when I'm over here, I watch all American programming. David Muir is on
David
ABC
Muir.
World News tonight.
Thanks, Karen, for the win. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Karen. Yes, I love him. So I watch that, and then sometimes I'll watch Leicester. In fact, usually I will watch Leicester as well. It's another news thing. And then sometimes I get sucked into what the entertainment show is. But definitely, it's better if I can get back in for 7:30. Usually by 9 o'clock, I'll stop. My cats, they jump up on the bed. They sit outside the studio door. They're waiting for me for treats time. They just sit there, and then they jump up on the bed, and oh, God love them. Yeah, so
I
we do
love
have
the office hours. I aspire to that. I really aspire to that kind of structure. I was quite good at it for a while, but I've lost it. I like the office hours. I think when you're freelance, it's quite. Do you ever still? I know because of COVID, no, but do you ever still travel if COVID weren't here to studios as well, or is it now mostly home studio?
It's pretty much all home studio. Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you prefer it?
I do, but I like both. There's nothing like the energy of a team working on an audiobook and you're away from home,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very special. So I then try to create that in my mind so that I'm fully present and giving the same kind of performance that I would if there were people that I could see, because they're out there going to be listening. I just try and see them and talk to one of them, kind of a thing.
Well, I can, hugely inspirational. And I'm going to put you on the spot one last time. I do to all the guests. As I mentioned, the people that are going to be watching this YouTube video for the next 60, 70, 80 years, what would you like them to walk away with? What final words of wisdom? What's the most important? What do you wish you'd known earlier or that you've learned along the way that you'd like to leave people with?
There are so many things, but I think overarchingly, run your own race. You're not doing this for X number of, social media likes, or not to be derailed by you think your friends or the people that are streets ahead of you, or why is their career so exciting and you're just hanging on by your fingernails, kind of thing. That will derail you in a heartbeat. So think about just keep your blinkers on in that sense. That's not a bad thing. Blinkers aren't always bad. It's good. Plenty of good thoroughbred horses, they have to have their blinkers. But you're not getting distracted by what other people may have other gifts within this. It's a big table and there's room for all of us. And so there's not enough time to get distracted by what's going to work for somebody else. And the grass is always green on the other side of the fence. And if you were really to talk to them and they were your friend, you might find out they were in the middle of a dark night of their soul. And it wasn't the way it appears to you, And that thing really about not getting into other people's heads, just be running your own race, because you don't need to get into the producer's minds either, whereby you're saying there's no point in writing. I've been writing them for 6 years and nobody ever, I'm such a dud that they won't hire me. Nobody will hire me, blah, blah. Don't make those decisions. Just keep on doing what you do and letting them know about it in a nice, polite, this is what I've been up to. Not every 2 weeks, but in a sensible way, in a sensible way, purposeful way, and you will grow. And then they'll say, well, she's, staying around and sticking up for her brand, and she's growing, and she had 1 book and now she's got 10, whatever it is. And oh, how interesting! That's the kind of thing she just did, and we're looking for that kind of a voice. And this kind of book is on my table now, and I didn't have anything to give her before, but I have it now. You don't know, And repurpose. I learned that from Karen Cummins. Repurpose what you can. It's very, very good. None of our efforts should just be deleted. You never know when it's going to come in handy. To be the accent that somebody's looking for. Have you got an accent? Have you got a demo of that? Oh yeah, definitely. Here it is. And try and catalog things, file things. Karen's wonderful for all that too.
I've got to learn how to do that. I need to, because I've saved it all.
Somewhere.
God knows. And I think I've saved it like 7, 8 times. That guy, Get Things Done, he wrote a book. Okay, you probably don't want to start that book. Avon Shore turned me onto that book, and I found that I'd had it in audiobooks. I almost had a stroke when I listened to what he actually expected me to do. He makes you like you actually have to take time off your life and catalog every single, I mean, it is, I hear from people that made it to the other end that it's life-changing. But it's like the people that have completed the artist's way, like those aren't my people, because I've never made it past the first few weeks. You
should organize a group then. Do it.
Yeah,
that's a great thing. You'd love it, Daniela. Just
I
get in a
did, and I quit the group quietly, hoping they wouldn't notice my fast exit. I'm not sure where that group is. They're probably off having artistic dates with themselves.
But there's always another day, you know. That's another thing I would say to people. That's a good point. There's always another day. There's another chance to put one foot in front of another, and that's all we all do.
Yeah, I love that. This has been, I think you've given Tony Robbins a run for his money. Hugely inspirational. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us. Now, I mean, I always knew, because you were lovely, funny, hysterical Anne, and you were so nice. I was like, how does she have time to be so nice to a total stranger? You're like just so nice. And then I met you and I was like, oh, she's lovely. And then you're like, oh yeah, and I've done 600 books. I'm like, what?
I hope I didn't say that.
No, you everyone's so busy, and we're all friends. We all reach out to each other and we all have these like social interactions, but it's unique when somebody takes time to talk. Let's talk. Let's just have a chat with like no ulterior motives. Nobody has ulterior motives, but it's just nobody has time for a good chat. Every chat I have is a chat. We're going to do this. I have a gold group. I have a narrator ninjas. I have, all those are, but I've never actually just like, oh, we'll have a chat, like a cup of coffee chat. And
oh, you do, Daniela.
No, I don't. They always have a business purpose or a goal. We end up chatting way more than we should, but I challenge people, actually, because I think you're unique that way. I challenge you guys to ask how much recently have you just reached out to someone that wasn't your friend already, a new friend in the narrator world, just to chat. Not to do with social marketing or branding or what you're going to do with your schedule, or let's be accountability partners, but let's just chat. I think it's an interesting thing, and if it spread, we'd all be a lot more relaxed and calm and happy. I don't think it's a very common thing to do, and I think it's lovely and unique that you reached out to me that way, and it meant the world to me. I felt so relaxed, and because I was feeling very unhappy at the time, just in general, just being a disgruntled 99-year-old woman pissed off at everything, and you cheered me right up that day. You cheered me right up, and you did that on top of your 8,000 books. And I just think but it's important to recognize those things.
It's a joy to talk with somebody like you. And here's another thing, Daniel, and I would say this to the group too. Are you an ambassador with the APA? I love that role. Reaching out to people, and it's the email and the phone call, and many times people don't pick up the phone, but many times they do, and I've got lifelong friends from that too. I love it.
And Helen Lloyd reached out to me when I joined the APA, and actually, now that you say that, because I have always considered she's got the goods as a narrator. She's well-known actress, but I consider Helen a friend. Because you've had the personal conversation, that didn't originate from just work. Stephen Cohen, let's have a chat. Right. Those things I think those things are really important. Really
yes,
important.
And it's a way to give back a little bit. I hate that expression, but I love to talk about that. And then, oftentimes these are very new people, and we'll have sometimes it's quite a lengthy chat, and I don't know them and they don't know me, but just one thing leads to another, because we just so love what we're doing, and there's always something to find out about, and somebody always knows something, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy doing that.
We will
And I was
leave
so
on
glad
that
that I met
note.
you on that.
Oh,
Yes, on that call.
friends
That day.
forever, because we've switched ponds.
Right.
Okay, I better wrap up because I forgot we had the clubhouse, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you all. And I love all our lovely Joe guests. And you are spectacular. I can't say enough. 2 weeks, the video will come out, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. This has been such fun. I love you, Daniela, and it's wonderful what you do for everybody. Really. Yeah, you're very, very special. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Anne Flosnik.
Yay!
Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye.
Rhythm song. Come on, everybody, tap along. First you scrub a dub, then you tap and rub. You might have to yell when you hear the bell ring out loud and long. Oh, everybody scrub along and play.